Alright, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with the Survivor Series wrap-up plan as we're sitting here right now as Roman Reigns is sort of still, trying to shake off what happened to him, man. Survivor Series 2015 was a good show. Wasn't a great show. It was fun. I did, start the show very, very late because I worked a later shift. I got off at 10. I got home at 10:30. So, just getting home, I was 2.5 hours behind almost the whole show. Behind on the WWE Network, so I fired it up. I had thoughts of skipping this show, but I think the WWE tournament, more than anything else, finding out who the new champion was going to be, is what lured me into, checking out the show and seeing what was going down. I never got to see what was on the pre-show, and definitely WWE showed that they didn't really care about what was on the pre-show as well, but they surprised us. They already told us there was going to be one 5-on-5 Survivor Series tag team match that was going to be on the show, but they didn't tell us who was going to be in it. They surprised us with another one on the pre-show with a whole bunch of guys, most notably the Dudleys and Goldust making his WWE return after being injured for a long time. They went up against the Cosmic Wasteland, Miz, and Bo Dallas, basically making it where everybody that I can think of was used on the pay-per-view. No Darren Young for some reason. I don't know why, but I guess they just only had so many spots. But WWE never told us anything about it, so I don't really know what happened. They didn't even put over the fact that Goldust returned. First match of the pay-per-view ended up being Roman Reigns going up against Alberto Del Rio. Roman Reigns ended up getting the win after a hard-fought match against Del Rio, where Del Rio would injure Roman Reigns' arm with two of the arm bars, and one of the arm bars that, basically Roman Reigns was trying to shake Alberto Del Rio free when he strengthened up his arm, picked up Del Rio, and then tried to shake him over the top rope out of the ring, which it ended up putting more stress on the arm, and I think ended up really being a factor of the match. Dean Ambrose beat Kevin Owens in somewhat of a shocker. Very, very good match with both of these guys going at it. Dean Ambrose just hit the Dirty Deeds almost out of the middle of nowhere, and we had ourselves a tournament final set up with Roman Reigns going up against Dean Ambrose. The match that I skipped of the night ended up being the 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series match. Ryback, the Usos, the Lucha Dragons going up against the New Day, Sheamus, and King Barrett. Off the top of my head in my pay-per-view preview, I ended up saying that this was probably going to be the team, saying New Day, Sheamus, and King Barrett being the 5 heels that have been being used on television as of late. One thing leads to another. Sheamus ends up being left in the ring against one of the Usos, Ryback, and Kalisto, and they ended up getting the win over Sheamus. A weird ultimate survival there with I can understand that maybe they let the Usos stand strong, or the Lucha Dragons, but they only have one member of each team, and then Ryback be in there. It was kind of weird. It was what it was, though. Charlotte got the win over Paige with the figure 8. The match was clean. They had that weird spot where Paige was up on the guardrail taunting the Phillips Arena crowd. Charlotte stood up on the guardrail and delivered a 1-foot spear that was supposed to be one of the most devastating moves. But a very physical match from the Divas, possibly one of the most physical matches that we've ever seen in the Divas division, and one of the things that we've really been looking forward to with the Divas Revolution. So the match was all right. It just wasn't great. Tyler Breeze beat Dolph Ziggler in a match that went very, very fast. Undertaker and Kane fought off all 4 members of the Wyatts. It was a 2-on-2 tag match, which it's going to be written in stone as, the Brothers of Destruction, Undertaker and Kane going up against Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. But right off the bat, Undertaker and Kane hit a double choke slam on Eric Rowan, eliminating him. Brothers of Destruction, Undertaker and Kane also hit a double choke slam on Braun Strowman, putting him through the announcer's table when he tried to get physical in the match. Then coming back into the ring, Undertaker and Kane were laid out by Luke Harper, only for them to do the sit-up, surprise them, and attack them with their own choke slams, laying out Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper in the ring, for Undertaker to scoop up Luke Harper, hit the tombstone, and get the 1-2-3, celebrating the 25 years of Undertaker, and Undertaker gets the big win in this match. Most notably, we see Braun Strowman going through the announce table, and we see Undertaker pinning Luke Harper. So Bray Wyatt not affected in either one of those, but it looks like they might be setting up a tables match or some sort of a match for TLC. Then we move on to the main event, which ends up being Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose in a very, very fast-paced, very rushed match, almost more rushed than the Tyler Breeze versus Dolph Ziggler match, with Roman Reigns hitting a spear on Dean Ambrose in order to get the 1-2-3 and become a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And then right out of SummerSlam 2013, I'm going to guess, and I might be wrong, we have the remake of Daniel Bryan winning the WWE Championship by beating John Cena. We see Roman Reigns beat Dean Ambrose. We see them have a moment of sort of celebrating the win. Dean Ambrose putting over Roman, and them showing that when they did show a little bit of I don't want to call it bad sportsmanship, but a little bit of just balls by, they shoved each other in the head, sort of I'm sick of you right now, when both of them were fed up that neither one could beat the other guy. They came back together to show the Shield is as strong as ever, which is good to keep that unit together. We see him leave, only for Triple H to come out. Roman Reigns attacks Triple H with a spear, only to turn around and have Sheamus giving him a boot to the face. Match starts where it's Sheamus against Roman Reigns, with Sheamus cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase. Once that starts, we see Sheamus delivering another brogue kick, laying out Roman Reigns, getting the 1-2-3. And as the pay-per-view ends, we see Triple H walking out over Sheamus's shoulder, giving him pretty much the seal of approval. I don't know where they're going, if he's going to be in the Authority, if he's going to, join Evolution like the rumors were years ago, but that's your champion, Sheamus, WWE World Heavyweight Champion, going into Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. Where does Roman get his title shot? Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here with the WWE Survivor Series 2015 talk as we watch the Survivor Series tonight here on the WWE Network. Honestly, I was supposed to have today off. One thing leads to another. I ended up going to a store and working. I had to work really late. I didn't get off until 10 o'clock here on the West Coast, so the pay-per-view's been done for 2.5 hours by the time I've gotten home and I got to start. It's going to be a long night. I got to watch this 3-hour show, and then I got to get to bed because I got to be back at my job at 7 a.m. So I know that some people are out there quit your complaining. You're just sitting here watching wrestling. It's not like you're actually doing a second job or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. I honestly thought about skipping Survivor Series, but I decided that I was going to, sit down and I was going to watch the show because I get off tomorrow at 4, and I'm more than likely not going to watch Survivor Series if I sit down and I watch Monday Night Raw, and I really want to know who the champion is, and I did my part. I stayed away from Twitter. I haven't looked at my my mentions. I haven't looked at my timeline. So I'm going to be, fresh going into this and actually seeing what's going down. The opening match of the night after Lillian Garcia sang the national anthem, and it's good that this show is going off without a hitch, without the big ISIS scare that went down this weekend. That was something that I honestly never thought I would ever see in the world of professional wrestling, is some sort of act of terrorism against wrestling fans. First round matchup ended up being Roman Reigns against Alberto Del Rio. Honestly, going into this, Del Rio is probably the one guy on this show that probably nobody picked in any prediction videos to get a win here. He's sort of keeping his spot warm. He's got the United States Championship. It would have been nice to see him sort of build up some steam getting a win, but we did see him win 2 tournament matches against Kalisto and against Stardust in order to get here. Not the biggest names in the world, but everybody knows that he's going to be going up against John Cena at TLC, so we're just counting down until we get there. But they went in there. They had the match. It was a very hard-fought match. Definitely Roman Reigns had to look strong in this match. Roman and Del Rio went back and forth, but Del Rio put a lot of hurt on Roman Reigns. We saw Del Rio thought he got the win twice during this match. Once hitting a backcracker and then actually pumping the fist like he was going to win. Another time when he faked he had a knee injury and he was able to get Roman Reigns set up for the spear and then was able to turn the spear around. But he was celebrating too much, and that's what cost him the 3 count. And definitely, you know, this took Del Rio out of the match, not knowing what he was going to have to do to beat Roman Reigns. It was almost like he got to the point where he didn't think he was going to be able to, but he suckered Roman Reigns into a move on the mat and ended up putting the armbar on. The armbar was on for a long time on Roman Reigns. That's probably the story that they're going to be telling going into the next match, is that his arm is hurt and he's not going to be 100% going into it. So whoever wins the next match between Owens and Dean Ambrose is probably going to have the advantage going in. But I thought it was pretty cool. You know, he had gone for the armbar once earlier in the match, and Reigns was able to sort of use his strength to pick him up and drop him down on his back, and that's what really broke the hold. This time, he went to go pick him up and actually was looking like he was going to throw him out of the ring. He got him over the top rope and was holding it, but Del Rio sort of used his weight and making Roman actually pick him up and hold him, as what was, you know, putting a lot of strain on his arm and making it even worse than the move down on the ground. Finally, Del Rio, after getting a 4 count out of 5, let go, ran around, went for the jumping foot stomp off of the top rope, but Reigns was way too far away. When he missed, he turned around, Roman Reigns hit the spear, got the 1, 2, 3 and a win, and Roman Reigns moves on to the finals. Alright, second match of the night ended up being Dean Ambrose going up against Kevin Owens, sticking with the WWE, I guess you can say it's the 3rd round of the tournament, but the first of the tournament matches on the pay-per-view with the semifinals leading into the finals. Definitely, this was a very 50-50 split on what people thought was going to happen. Lots of people thought that Kevin Owens would be moving on to the finals, and there was a lot of people out there looking for Dean Ambrose to get the win, to sort of set up Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns as the, I guess you can say, the official real breakup of the Shield, with them no longer being together. A lot of people have been thinking that Dean Ambrose would turn on Roman Reigns would turn on Dean Ambrose. There's a lot of, situations that are set up for this to be a really, really big match, and that's basically what they set up. Before the match, we see Roman Reigns having a backstage interview with JoJo, talking about the fact that he got the win, and he's going to be fighting Ambrose in the finals because he believes that Ambrose is going to get the win. Kevin Owens comes in to interrupt it, basically, trying to run down his stats, basically saying that he beat John Cena in his first match in WWE. He won the Intercontinental Championship in his first attempt to win it. Now here he is, he's going to win his match against Ambrose, and then he's going to set up winning the WWE Championship on his first try at the WWE Championship. So it makes a lot of sense. Pretty cool Roman Reigns TLC pay-per-view video right here with him as a video game guy. I thought that this match, honestly, I was into it, but at the end, like when I'm trying to make a video, like giving it a review, it was sort of a back and forth match. There really wasn't a whole lot to it. There definitely were times when Dean Ambrose was, looking like he was going to pull the win, and then Kevin Owens was able to turn the tide. Then there was times when it looked like Kevin Owens was really taking the match over, and it looked like Dean Ambrose was going to take it over from there. One thing leads to another. Dean Ambrose hit the dirty deeds on Kevin Owens. Dean Ambrose got the win. It sort of came off as sort of a real big surprise. So it's a mystery where we go from here, what happens. It really could be anything. Ambrose could be joining the Authority. Reigns could be joining the Authority. I've got 1,000 things running through my mind, but it's going to be the first matchup of the Shield with Ambrose going up against Roman Reigns. So a very intriguing match right here in the tournament, and we have the finals set up. So now we just need to kill off the Tyler Breeze match, the 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, and the Undertaker match, because really that's everything that I care about tonight. And then we just need to see the finals. The middles just don't really matter that much. So we'll see what happens, and we'll get the finals in a little bit. Hey, what up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you here today. The Divas Championship was next on the WWE Survivor Series 2015. Everybody knows that this was probably coming into Survivor Series one of the most talked about matches, due to the all the backstage talk about what was said between Charlotte and Paige in their main event contract signing of Monday Night Raw. Definitely a lot of people thought that maybe Charlotte and Paige took it a little bit too far, bringing up Charlotte's family with their baby brother who passed away from a heroin overdose, just basically even though he was never a part of a WWE system, you know, it definitely struck a nerve because this is Ric Flair's son. You know, Ric Flair openly spoke out against the angle. You know, his ex-wife came out and said the same thing about using Reed in an angle. WWE had to come out and basically say that they were not responsible. It was actually Charlotte who came and said, hey, we're going to use this, and this is what they're going to do. WWE tried to make it seem like they weren't a part of it, even though it was held on their television show, and it's a scripted show and everything like that. But it is what it is. The girls went out there, and they even sort of referenced this whole controversy without really referencing it, if that makes sense. They gave them a lot of time, but honestly, when it comes down to it, it might have been a little bit too much time. The match was good. It just honestly, it wasn't great. I don't know. To me, honestly, it had one of it had a really bad spot. Honestly, I thought what the move Charlotte did was really bad. Was when the match took a lot of place on the outside of the ring. You know, there was supposed to be a real fight instead of a wrestling match. And at one point, Paige really beat up Charlotte, and for no reason at all, she jumped up on top of the barricade in the corner, and she just was sort of mocking the crowd, saying that this is her house, and she kept saying it over and over and over again. She wasn't high-fiving the fans or doing anything. She just kept on saying, this is my house now. And then all of a sudden, you know, Charlotte appeared on the ramp, not even on the ramp, on the barricade, right next to her, took a step and speared her, and they sold it like this was one of the most devastating spears of all time. One thing leads to another. Paige and Charlotte ended up back inside of the ring. Charlotte was able to wrap on the figure 8, and Paige tapped out clean to give Charlotte the win and keep her Divas Championship. The match was good. I mean, it was a very physical Divas match, one of the most physical Divas matches that I can say that we've seen in a long time, but it wasn't good in my mind. It just was what it was. And I don't know. I'm guessing we're going to see Charlotte versus Paige again, though. As we continue on with WWE's Survivor Series 2015, honestly, the next match was Dolph Ziggler against Tyler Breeze, and it really seemed rushed. It really seemed like it just got pushed through almost as fast as it could. Definitely was not a lot to this match other than trying to get Tyler Breeze over. They kept on bringing up the fact of what Dolph Ziggler meant to Survivor Series last year, being the winning survivor of the Team Cena versus Team Authority match, which, of course, banned the Authority for a few weeks in WWE, and of course, really started the Sting returning, which led to Sting versus Triple H at WrestleMania, which led to, I guess you can say, Ziggler, Ryback, and the other one, Eric Rowan being fired, and then being brought back right before WrestleMania, which I'm sure is one thing that really cooled off all three of those guys, and definitely maybe if they did some stuff that they shouldn't have done. But really, in this match, Tyler Breeze won the match with the Unprettier. There wasn't a whole lot to it. The match was honestly just a few minutes long. A little bit of back and forth action, but for the most part, Tyler Breeze controlled the whole match. Definitely with the storyline being resolved around Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae, and Tyler Breeze being the new girl. You can definitely tell that this is going to keep on going, and it doesn't really revolve around Rusev and Lana anymore, but it's funny when you think about it, how this storyline has progressed, and they aren't even involved, and they're just sitting at home now. Man, oh man, honestly, when it comes down to it, one of the matches that I was looking forward to the most at WWE Survivor Series 2015 was the Undertaker match. With him coming back, of course, they were celebrating 25 years of the Undertaker since his debut at the 1990 Survivor Series, coming in as, managed by Brother Love as a part of the $1 Million Team. And, the build-up to the match wasn't that big. But I thought that, honestly, the payoff was going to be, something good. I thought maybe we would see Kane turning on Undertaker and then getting a little bit of a lead to where Undertaker is going from here. Is Undertaker just going to disappear and then reappear for WrestleMania? He's not really doing the big send-off that he would do if this was the end of his career. It's not like when he lost at Hell in the Cell, waiting for the Wyatts to come down and kick his ass. I mean, he took the straps down. He sort of looked around at everybody, but he didn't do, what you would do if this is the last of Taker. So, honestly, I don't blame the guy if he doesn't wrestle at TLC. But I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up at the Royal Rumble, and then shows up on Monday Night Raw to get his gear towards WrestleMania. But I think I'm like everybody else. I just want to know what the hell he's doing, and I want to know when we're going to see him next. It's really weird seeing Undertaker. They brought him back for what seems to be just a normal basic tag match. Nothing really to it. It was 2-on-2, the Wyatts versus the Brothers of Destruction, but when you really broke it down, all 4 members of the Wyatts were involved in this match. The Wyatts came out for the match first. All 4 members accompanied Bray down to the ring. And, Kane came out, and then it was an eternity before Undertaker came to the ring. They build it up so big. I mean, you could have honestly baked a cake in the time it took for Kane to get to the ring, and then for the time for them even to play Undertaker's theme. And then once he started to make his way to the ring, as slow as humanly possible, just building up the dramatic effect, we're getting the chills and everything like that. It was a long damn time. Immediately, once Undertaker and Kane were set into the ring, Eric Rowan came sprinting in from the outside to try to attack Kane and Undertaker. He ended up not being a part of the match because immediately he was double chokeslammed, and when Bray Wyatt looked around with Braun Strowman and Luke Harper like he didn't know what was going to do next. He went to his team. They didn't really do a huddle, but it was almost like he was trying to pick who was going to go in there, because I guess he thought that Eric Rowan was going to finish the job and it was going to be what it was going to be. He ended up saving Braun Strowman, the monster, on the outside, and ended up going with Luke Harper. Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt got up on the corner. The announcers were really going crazy to the fact that Bray was really going to get in the ring. I think a lot of people thought that it was going to be forcing, him to get into the ring and go from there. Are these not taped? I guess these are taped. But they would cut the ring off with Kane, and Undertaker had to wait on the outside as we built up in anticipation of when we were going to see him get into the ring. The fight fell out to the outside. Braun Strowman tried to get involved, but he was met with a double chokeslam from Undertaker and Kane through the announce table. Then once the fight was back on the inside, Luke Harper did a double clothesline and took out Undertaker and Kane, with them laid down on the ring. We saw Bray Wyatt get into the corner and do his patented sort of crab walk as Luke Harper crawled towards Kane. They both did the dramatic, sit-up, and from there we saw the double choke slam. It wasn't a double choke slam, but it was Undertaker choke slamming Bray Wyatt while Kane choke slammed Luke Harper. Then, Undertaker picked up Luke Harper for the tombstone, pinned him right there in the middle of the ring, and Edge and Christian's show that's totally awesome of awesomeness. Alrighty. That looks like a good show. I'm looking forward to that. Undertaker gets the win. Definitely you can see that, Braun Strowman goes through the table, and the pin is not on Bray Wyatt. So my guess is maybe they have a tables match at TLC. Maybe the feud continues. Hopefully the feud dies. Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here with the big one, the main event of WWE Survivor Series 2015. Earlier on in the night, we saw Roman Reigns beat WWE United States Champion Alberto Del Rio to move on to the tournament final. And then in the second match, we saw Dean Ambrose beat Intercontinental Champion Kevin Owens to move on to the tournament final as well. There's a lot of anticipation for this match. Honestly, two baby faces, not only that, but two, former faction members, tag team partners, two guys that have a storyline of basically going out drinking after the shows, going out and celebrating. Dean Ambrose against Roman Reigns. Lots of talk about, either one of these guys turning on the other one, being one of the main storylines in WWE as of right now. Very, very fun match. I honestly, as, they were walking to the ring, I wasn't even there, and I don't normally only get this way when I'm at the show and about to see the match live, but, I got that thing where I started getting all pumped and fired up, knowing that this was going to be a really, really good match. Honestly, once it's all over and it's all said and done with, I thought that this honestly was a very fast match. I don't even think this went 10 minutes. It probably felt like it didn't even really go 5. Both of these guys, there was no dirty heel action in this. It was just basically everybody throwing everything out the window and trying to give the other guy everything they had. We saw Roman Reigns deliver the spear, which was kicked out of by Dean Ambrose. We saw Dean Ambrose hit the dirty deeds on Roman Reigns, which he kicked out of as well. And they just both, basically kept going at it. We never saw one guy hang his head. We never saw the other guy, let up just a little bit. They just kept delivering the fight and giving him everything that they had to give the other guy. And in the end, it felt like he was out of the middle of nowhere. Roman Reigns hit the second spear, and definitely I thought that the match was going to keep going. But it was a 1-2-3. Roman Reigns beats his brother in the Shield. There is no bad blood. There is no tension. Roman Reigns beats his buddy to become WWE champion. This is something that, he's been chasing for a long time. He won the Royal Rumble last year. He went on to WrestleMania, where Seth Rollins slipped in with the Money in the Bank briefcase, only to take the championship away and take the match away, really. It changes all the demeanor of the match with him being able to scoot in there, making it a 3-way instead of Roman having a clear one-on-one match with Brock. We saw, this year when, Roman was going to be going after the Money in the Bank briefcase in order to try and get him a shot at the championship, only to reach the top and Bray Wyatt push it over on him. And I'm sure there's been other times when Roman has had shots to come close, but he's finally done it. It's finally his time. I'm waiting to see if the Boo Birds break out and see where they go from here. It feels like there's a little bit of time left in the show, so we'll have to see where it goes from here. But as of right now, Roman Reigns is your WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Holy shit. That's about the only thing I can say. I ended that last video saying that there was a lot of time left in the pay-per-view. I knew that they were going to do a celebration for Roman Reigns, but I thought they might have done something, but I had no clue that they would pull this off. Sheamus really has been just hanging around the mid-card, not even been able to get wins. They didn't even really make him look that strong in that 5-on-5 Survivor Series tag match. Now I really wish I wouldn't have fast-forwarded through most of it, and I would have really watched it to see what they really done with him in there. I mean, he was the last guy on the losing team, and I thought that when I stopped the match and it was 1-on-3, I thought that maybe because he was the Money in the Bank guy that he would pick up some victories, but he just got pinned, and that was it. We see Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns rolling around on the ground, sort of celebrating their win. I noticed that, Roman Reigns was on the ground and Dean Ambrose came up crouched behind him. And I kept on waiting for Dean Ambrose maybe to sort of like grab him by his hair and throw him into the mat and then start a beat down from there. But Dean Ambrose just, sat there and they soaked in the moment. And then he just sort of hit for high grounds and let Roman Reigns have his moment in the sun in the ring. And then when he bounced, they started to play the Triple H music, bowed down to the King. He came down clapping, starting to cheer, and got into the ring to congratulate Roman Reigns and maybe even, sort of offer him that spot and the authority that he turned down when Roman Reigns said that he wanted to earn becoming champion for the first time. But once he was in the ring, Roman Reigns speared Triple H to sort of set off what was going down. But as he was doing that, Sheamus Sheamus makes his way down to the ring and appeared from behind, delivering a bro kick, kicking Roman Reigns right in the head. Telling the referee, Charles Robinson, that he wanted to start the match. Charles Robinson counted the 1-2. Roman Reigns kicked out. And he really didn't know where he was. He was dazed in La La Land as they got up. Sheamus went for another bro kick. Roman Reigns was able to get out of the way of this one. It looked like he was trying to set up the spear. But as he came running in on Sheamus delivered that bro kick that he was trying to deliver. 2 for 3 on bro kicks. This one he was able to get the pin and become the champion. Triple H is looking on over the shoulder of Sheamus as like, you did something right. You did it pretty good. And, it looks like he's living up to becoming the new guy. We'll have to see if, Sheamus is going to become that new member of Evolution that was talked about after WrestleMania 30 when Dave Bautista was going to leave. There was rumors of Triple H and Sheamus, coming as a team to continue on their feud against the Shield. Now it looks like it's going to be Sheamus against Roman Reigns, with Triple H lurking in the background as the TLC Royal Rumble sort of feud. And people weren't that high on Sheamus. Sheamus is a guy that does have fans, but him being champion coming from directly the mid-card, honestly, at this point, sort of feels like Vandango winning the WWE Championship right now. Anything can really happen in WWE, but to let Roman say that he was WWE Champion for about 2 minutes and then take it away kind of sucks.